Hey, how you guys doing out there? So, Arrow just talked about life logging. You know, if you've ever gone to visit a relative or a family member, and they say, "How was your trip?" and you're like, "Oh, it was great. I made great time today." Or you get to work and someone says, "Good morning. How are you? How you doing?" "Oh, commute was awful." You know, mentally in your head, you've been life logging, right? You're recording this memory of your life of how long it took to take a trip and get somewhere. And that, in a way, is exactly what Inrix is all about. We're about helping you get to the places you want to go faster, with more convenience, less stress, less frustration, less wasted fuel, time, and money, right? And so when you think about things in life, right, you could always depend on four things. You can spend on death, taxes, weather, and traffic, right? These are all things that are inevitabilities in life. Many of them we control, some of them we can't. Well, I'm here to tell you that we can do something about the fourth one there, and that's traffic. So when I was coming down here today, I was talking to some colleagues at work, and as you guys are know from past meetups and shout outs that, we're actively hiring. And I said, well, what should I focus on? Well, tell them, one, that we're hiring, and two, tell them who we are, because nobody ever knows who Inrix is, because we're usually the thing behind the thing behind the thing that makes the nav system on your app or in your car work well. Well, we are basically a company that does exactly that. We're driving intelligence. Anything that's real-time data-oriented that runs on top of the map in your car or on your phone, whether that's traffic information that tells you how fast or slow the traffic's moving, or it gives you the ETA to your destination and tells you what the best route is around the traffic to get there. Or potentially you have a system in your car that provides you with information about where the closest gas station is, or where you can charge your electric vehicle, or where can I park my car, and is there any available spots there, and how much will it cost me? That most likely is data that's coming from us that's running through those services that you use. So about 150 million people use us every day, and they don't even really know it. We started doing crowdsourcing to do what we do before that word was a buzzword and it was fashionable. We were big data analytics before there was such a catchword when the company was started 7-9 years ago or so. Today, we actually crowdsource this data from 100 million vehicles and devices around the world, delivering up-to-minute traffic information to major car makers, mobile nav app providers, and to some other areas that I'm going to tell you about that are kind of unexpected uses of our data that we've discovered along the way. Now, why would anyone get into this business, right? Well, it turns out that traffic is an incredible problem in this country. As of 2011, $121 billion was the cost of traffic congestion in terms of lost productivity, lost time due to productivity, and wasted fuel. We wasted 2.9 billion gallons of fuel. That's enough to fill up the Superdome like 5 times or something. It's incredible. Now, bringing it down to your level, the average driver on the annualized basis, if you drive at all 3-4 days a week to commute to work, traffic costs you about $1,000 a year out of your pocket and lost time and lost fuel. So when you think of something like Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue region with 3.5 million people, that costs our economy every year over $3 billion, right? And I haven't even gotten into the environmental costs that we're starting to see from this that we all are well aware of. Now, so how do we do this before there was crowdsourcing and big data and all these things in technology? Well, actually what governments did, they actually physically installed sensors in the roadway. Well, the problem with that is that you could only understand what traffic's like where you could afford to install sensors in the roadway. And as we know, increasingly government is challenged with their ability to fund and do that, right? You have a lot of latency, right? If this data is old at all, right? There's a lot of nav apps out there today that crowdsource traffic from people who use their apps. Well, that's all fine and good if someone just went down the road you're about to travel on. But if someone hasn't traveled there in the last 10 minutes, how reliable is that data, right? Is that really going to help you? It might not. And the other thing is it's very expensive to scale to do this, right? To install physical sensors on every road in America is just physically impossible, let alone to do that around the world. So what Inrix did is we took a different approach. We said, instead of making the road the sensor, what if we made the cars and the devices we all carry with us in those vehicles the sensors themselves, right? And so in essence, what we did is we gave birth to crowdsourced traffic information, right? And what we started with is when you think back when Inrix was started, we didn't carry GPSs with accelerometers in our phones in our pockets, right? Cars, if they were connected, you could only send data down, you couldn't get data out. So what we did was we partnered with the commercial fleet companies that all had this two-way connectivity. These guys drive every day, all day long. And we partnered up with them. We said, hey, if you let us know location, heading, and speed of all your fleet vehicles, we'll give you traffic information to use in your routing and logistics, which for them is incredibly important because the more efficient their route plans are for the drivers, the less they incur overtime costs because those route plans are actually realistic to what the driver can do in an amount of time. And also helps them save money because they use less fuel getting to those places. We also just not only crowdsource it from the fleet vehicles, but now we started to get it from passenger cars. We've started to get it from smartphones with people using applications like our Inrix traffic app or others that we provide info to. So man, I am way behind. But anyways, the net of that is we end up with a network effect where as our customers grow their business and sell more cars with our content, our network gets bigger, we get more data, we can produce better traffic information, which gives people better insights. So this is a snapshot of where we were 4 years ago or so. This is kind of our AT&T Verizon red dot map of real-time data coming to Inrix from vehicles. And then that's where we are today in 2013, right, as we move ahead. And into 2014, it's even more robust. So when we think about it, we're taking these massive amounts of input data, processing through a very sophisticated analytics platform, and processing it out into information that's useful to drivers every day. Now, of course, we sell it to car makers. We sell this information to nav app providers, right? Media naturally would use this information in traffic reports you might get on the news. Fleet businesses, we talked about that. But what we're starting to discover is some unexpected uses of our data that we never realized were possible before. And a couple of those places I'll tell you about is one we just announced today. The billboard advertising industry has just started to use our data in their new measurement system that now can tell an advertiser not only how many people travel by that billboard every day, but at different times of day, how long they were exposed to that message on that billboard. So billboards, in essence, when you think about it, it was the original tweet, right? Well, we've now made that a time-based medium that gives them better analytics to better understand that. And I'll close with one more because I know I'm running over. But another one is financial services. I met someone here earlier tonight that's worked in that space. We have a hedge fund today that comes to us on a quarterly basis and says, tell me what the traffic congestion levels around all of my big box retailer clients' stores in the last quarter, and how does that compare to the quarter of the year prior? Because I think that might give me an early indicator on sales and earnings, and I can act on that. So those are a couple of the places where we're finding new, interesting uses of this data that started out as just a data company for transportation, that's now become a data analytics company for a lot of different industries. So thank you for that. Please come look us up on the web. We are hiring. We have over 20 positions open, and I'd be happy to take anybody's questions. Go for it. Lauren. We met earlier. That's why I know. Or I have really good eyesight, one or the other. Yeah, that's definitely the case. Not only we do, a lot of folks are doing prediction based on historical information today, which gives you a sense of like, okay, at a Wednesday at 5 o'clock, traffic's, typically like this or whatever. Well, that's all fine and good. It's just that, hey, we all know if there's a Sounders game, it's going to be very different down in SoDo than if there's not a Sounders game, right? And we know based on the time of year it is, if school's in session, it's going to be very different than when school's out. So we're actually doing a lot of things around traffic prediction. So for example, if you were to travel to London and you have our mobile app on your phone that you use in the US, it works in London too. Obviously you're going to pay roaming when you're on the network there, but it'll tell you real time as well as predictive traffic well in advance. Yep.
All right, that's all for questions for Inrix. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it again for them.
Thank you.